Welcome to Active Shooter, the podcast.
After decades now of mass shootings, we haven't found the answer.
A tribute to the victims of two mass shootings.
Thank you for listening to Active Shooter, the podcast.
You are listening to Active Shooter, a podcast that may contain adult themes, explicit language, and graphic depictions of violence. Portions of this show may be traumatic for those under 18. Listener discretion is advised.
We are hearing reports of a possible shooting at a church in Sutherland Springs, Texas. This is outside of San Antonio, Texas. The Wilson County Sheriff's Office told the Wilson County News that there are multiple people wounded and multiple deaths. The shooter has reportedly been taken down. One witness on the ground told CBS News she saw people being airlifted near the site of the First Baptist Church. The Connolly Memorial Medical Center confirmed they have received multiple victims related to the shooting.
On the morning of November 5th, 2017, a man in his mid-20s asked his wife to make him a light breakfast, something she thought was unusual as he usually liked a hearty meal. After breakfast, he kissed his 5-month-old daughter and his 2-year-old son and told them he would be right back. He walked out of his home, quietly leaving the children in their cribs and his wife tied to their bed using rope, handcuffs, and tape. He was going to the First Baptist Church located in a small town called Sutherland Springs. His plan? To carry out a deadly attack because of an ongoing feud with his mother-in-law, who would frequent the little white church. He wanted to get even. If you've listened to our prior episodes, you know that the Active Shooter podcast team has taken the no notoriety pledge, and we will not be sharing the real name of the shooters that we cover. We will be giving the shooters a pseudonym, and refer to them by that name throughout the episode. This will help in clearing up any confusion in the story, while remaining true to our pledge in not naming the shooter by their actual name. In today's episode, we will be referring to the shooter as Jeff. While we don't know the specifics behind the feud Jeff was having with his mother-in-law, family members said that it was just something silly that Jeff became obsessed with and wouldn't let go. First, Jeff drove his pearl white Ford Explorer SUV to the gas station across the street from the church before making his way to the church parking lot and putting the SUV in park close to the front of the church, and got out of his vehicle. He was wearing black tactical gear, a ballistic vest, and a black face mask with a white skull on it. There were 2 men in front of the church who didn't even have a chance to greet Jeff before he fired his AR-556 Ruger rifle at the men, killing them instantly.
He fired a few magazines outside the church, what we would consider the front of the church first. And I took my first injury from those initial bursts. He went to the side of the church, and I can't verify this, but I was told there was 5 empty magazines of 30-round magazines where he sprayed rounds into the side of the church. And he came in.
Without skipping a beat, Jeff continued to walk inside and entered a side door of the church, and immediately started shooting his rifle while screaming profanities and yelling that everyone was going to die. He walked up and down the aisle of the small church, pulling the trigger without even thinking, changing his empty magazines for full ones. Each magazine held 30 rounds. After he thought he killed everyone inside the church, Jeff left the church and started walking towards his vehicle. While the shooting was happening inside the church, retired National Rifle Association, or NRA, firearms instructor Stephen Williford heard the gunshots, as his house was next door to the church. Stephen grabbed his rifle, loaded it, and ran out of the house toward the church, completely barefoot. He saw Jeff walking towards his vehicle. Stephen was able to crouch down behind a truck and fire 3 shots at Jeff, injuring him. Jeff took off for his SUV and jumped in, squealing his tires away from the church.
And I said, "Oh my God, somebody's shooting." I ran to my safe, where I keep my gun. I grabbed a rifle out of the gun safe. My daughter ran out the door and actually got in her car and drove to the corner. And when she saw a man in black tactical gear, she came running back in and said, "Dad, there's someone at the church in black tactical gear shooting up the church." I didn't have any time because I kept hearing the shots one after another, very rapid shots, just pop, pop, pop. And I knew every one of those shots represented someone, that it was aimed at someone, that they weren't just random shots more than likely. I grabbed a handful of ammunition and started loading my magazine. I ran outside. I didn't even take time to put my shoes on. And I ran across the street looking for it. And when I came into the neighbor's yard, his Dodge pickup truck was sitting right there. And I noticed an SUV, a gray SUV, sitting across from the church, or in front of the church, across the street from my neighbor's house, with the driver's side door open in the middle of the street. And I didn't know it at the time, but the engine was running. And I'm trying to survey the situation, not knowing what's going on. And then I saw a man in a black tactical helmet with a dark shaded helmet on, and obviously looked to me like it was bulletproof vest. And he had a pistol in his hand. And we exchanged gunfire.
Stephen knew he couldn't let Jeff get away. He saw a car stopped at a nearby intersection, so Stephen ran over to the vehicle, jumped into the passenger seat, and told the driver to follow the Ford Explorer. The chase lasted somewhere between 5 and 7 minutes. They drove at speeds up to 95 miles per hour into the neighboring county called Guadalupe. During the chase, Jeff called his wife and parents to apologize to them for what he had just done. Jeff then lost control of his vehicle, crossed a ditch, and landed on the opposite side of the road. He knew that he was in trouble, and that he would more than likely bleed out from his injuries. That is when he decided to put the gun to his head, just above his right ear, and pull the trigger. The bullet wound killed him instantly.
I had parked at the intersection where I had seen the shooter come out from the church, and a gentleman, the neighbor of the church, had come out yielding a rifle, and the two men started exchanging gunfire. From there, the shooter jumped in his vehicle where he had the door open and the engine running, ready to go, and fled the scene. At that time, the neighbor with the rifle came to my truck, and he opened my door and said he just shot up the church and got in. And he said chase him, and so that's what I did. I just chased him. I was doing around 90, 95, going down 539 northbound while I was on the phone with dispatch trying to lead them to where he was, or the direction he was going, because it seemed everybody had headed up to the church, and I'm not sure if anybody really realized that he had left and gone that direction. So
after the first 911 call was made, around 11:20 a.m., the police arrived at the crime scene. The Texas Rangers led the investigation into the shooting at the First Baptist Church. Jeff fired about 700 rounds in just 11 minutes. Upon further investigation, it was discovered that Jeff made a post on Facebook the morning of the shooting. It simply stated, "I'm a wreck." It was also discovered that he had traces of a tranquilizer, marijuana, and other prescription drugs in his system.
Well, the service started like always, nice, friendly, everybody shaking hands, hugging each other, the kids running around, hiding under the tables and stuff, but it was pretty regular Sunday like always. And that's when the shots started. The man says, "Everybody get down there, shooting at us from the roof." And somebody was on top of the roof shooting down, trying to kill everybody in the church. Everybody was screaming and running, trying to hide. We were watching where the shots were being fired. You could feel them. You could see them on the floor too, because it was, you could see the carpet and smell the smoke from the shots. All of a sudden, it stops. Nothing no more. It was real quiet. I don't know what the man did that was up there. He did something, but here come the shots again firing. I crawled over here to the other side because all the shots were almost like in the same place, I had a whole bunch of blood on me, and I thought it was from the other people, and it was actually me bleeding. That's when I felt the warmth of the arm that I had been shot. I remember just covering my eyes and, not wanting to hear and praying and, asking the Lord to stop all of this that was going on and, not wishing for no other people to be shot, and asking why. And when then all of a sudden everything stopped again. I was looking towards the door. I could see towards my right hand. I saw some black boots come in. I thought it was a policeman. And, I said, oh my gosh, the police are arriving, but it was the same man that was doing the shooting. I stayed there very, very quiet, and he was going around shooting everybody in there that was left, that he hadn't shot, including all the children. So he was just going around and shooting until he ran out of the ammunition. He ran out. He let the guns fall on the floor, and he ran out. But at that time, everyone is waiting for us to hear the sirens, something, anything. Anybody saying, we're here, we're going to save you, don't worry, nothing. Nobody was there. Nobody came. At that point, I knew I had survived. I had survived the accident. I didn't know about anybody else, but I knew I had. So I thank the Lord for that. I don't know, if I'm ever going to be able to get over, what I saw. And it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard for me. And I don't know. It was a happy church. And now it's not going to be the same. I'm not going to see the same people. But my hope is that this town's, just nothing like this ever happens again, and everything is going to be fine.
We'll be right back after these short messages. What made Jeff snap? Why did he take the lives of so many people that were in a place of worship? A place that should have been a safe haven for everyone inside. You may be surprised to know that his attack wasn't motivated by racism or religion, but by a family dispute. There were 20 people injured, and 26 people were killed in the Sutherland Springs shooting. 10 women, 7 men, 7 girls, 1 boy, and 1 unborn baby boy. 23 people died inside the church. 2 died outside the church, and 1 died in the hospital. Due to time constraints, we will not be able to cover every victim that lost their lives that day. Annabelle Pomeroy was a beautiful 14-year-old girl who was taken from this earth much too soon. She was known as Belle to her friends and family. Her father, Frank Pomeroy, was the First Baptist Church's pastor, and neither him nor his wife, Sherry, were present the day Belle lost her life. Belle absolutely loved her church family and looked forward to worshiping at each and every service. She would even beg her parents to let her sit in the front row. Belle was adopted when she was a young baby, and she will never be forgotten by her beloved parents.
My wife put together something this morning on the on her Facebook page that I thought eloquently grabbed exactly what we were thinking. We've had a long night with our children and grandbabies that we have left. And she's going to share this with you.
Frank and I want to say thank you to all the outpouring of love for our family, from family, friends, and complete strangers. News media have been bombarding us with requests to share and comment and appear to celebrate Annabelle's life. However, as much tragedy as that entails for our family, We don't want to overshadow